101, can I get another
go ahead,
test, please?
countdown 245.
Roger, looks like it's about 16.7.
16.7, copy. ECI, you copy that?
ECI, copy, thank you.
This is Shuttle Control at T-minus 2 hours, 31 minutes, 35 seconds and counting, and the flight crew is departing the operations and checkout building. Led by Commander Dan Brandenstein, they are getting into the elevator where they will make the trip down to the ground floor. NASA Test Director has called the crew quarters and has verified that we are ready to support the flight crew's departure from the crew quarters and their subsequent arrival at the pad. A crowd of news media representatives and employees have gathered at the walkway the crew will use to exit the building. Standing by is the astronaut van, which will take the crew to the launch pad. And here comes the crew for mission 51G. Led by Commander Brandenstein, and are waving to their well-wishers there outside the operations and checkout building. Sultan Al-Saud boarding the astronaut van, followed by John Fabian, and Frenchman Patrick Baudry, MS-3 Shannon Lucid, Steve Nagel, astronaut John Young, and there's George Abbey, Director of Flight Crew Operations. And the 51G flight crew will be departing shortly for Launch Pad 39A. This is Shuttle Launch Control at T-minus 2 hours, 8 minutes, 43 seconds and counting. The flight crew has arrived at the White Room, and each member will now put on his integrated egress harness and his launch and entry helmet before getting into the vehicle. Commander Dan Brandenstein and pilot John Creighton will be the first to get in, and they are presently getting into their gear. They'll be followed by mission specialist John Fabian and Steve Nagel, and finally the two payload specialists, Patrick Baudry and Sultan Al-Saud, and MS-3 Shannon Lucid. Pilot J.O. Creighton getting his helmet on at this time. We see mission specialist Shannon Lucid and Steve Nagel.
And flight Houston, we're ready to pick up with the air-to-ground voice check.
Okay, you've got to go.
French astronaut Patrick Baudry, who is 39, is preparing to enter the orbiter at this point. He is a lieutenant colonel in the French Air Force and has held a number of test pilot assignments and has logged more than 4,000 hours of flying time.
I read you 5 square now. How me, over?
Okay, reach 11 clear.
Roger that. Have a nice flight, girl.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Discovery Houston for the CDR and PLT. Configure for an air-to-ground 1 voice check.
Welcome.
We're at T-minus 1 minute and counting. All systems go. The sound suppression water system is now being armed. Pre-liftoff water will be released at T-minus 16 seconds. T-minus 48 seconds. Solid rocket booster development flight instrumentation recorder has gone to the record mode, and the main propulsion system liquid oxygen and liquid hydrogen outboard fill valves have been closed. We're coming up on auto sequence start. T-minus 31 seconds. And we have a go for auto sequence start. Discovery's 4 redundant computers have primary control of critical vehicle functions. T-minus 21 seconds and counting. SOB engine nozzle profile is now underway. T-minus 16 seconds. T-minus 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We have booster ignition and liftoff. Liftoff of Discovery, and the shuttle has cleared the tower.
Discovery has cleared the tower at pad 39, rolling around to the proper azimuth to place the spacecraft on a 28.5-degree inclination orbit. All 3 auxiliary power units operating at 100+% of their rated RPM of 72,000 RPM. Throttling down to 84 and then 65% on the main engines. As the spacecraft passes through the maximum point of atmospheric compression.
Discovery Houston, your go at throttle up.
Roger, Houston, go at throttle up. Throttling back up to 104%. All engines showing 104% at this time. Miles downrange. Velocity 4890 feet per second. We have confirmation of solid rocket booster separation on time. Velocity 5290 feet per second. Downrange 33 miles.
Discovery Houston, first stage performance low.
Roger, low first stage performance. Downrange 53 miles.
Houston.
Velocity 6093. Roger, Houston, 2 engine tail. Main engine cutoff is confirmed. There will be no Holmes 1 maneuver. This is a direct insertion trajectory. There will be approximately 45 minutes from now an Holmes 2 to circularize the orbit
Will confirm.
at 191
Holmes
nautical.
required. APUs off on time.
Roger, Houston. Holmes 1, APUs off on time.
Copy, and we have a good picture now.
Houston, we're going to try to show you a spin up on the elbow camera if you are going to still be with us with TV.
Okay, John, we're still with you. We have a picture now on the elbow camera, so we'll be waiting to see the spin up.
Seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. And we do have verification, electronic verification that the satellite's been deployed. Data reflects it to be a nominal deployment. We'll stand by now for the crew's verification and report.
TELSTAR deployment upcoming in 1 minute. Mark.
Houston Discovery with your post-deploy report.
Roger, we're ready to copy, John. Sounds to me like it's 3 up and 3 away. Sides retired.
Well, we're not ready for retirement quite yet, Bob, but we're glad to be 3 for 3. We were off on time, attitude 195.85, 67.76, and 21.10. The rates, negative .001, negative .002, and positive .003. And for anomalies, we'll say nominal, nominal, nominal.
That sounds good. Like good work to me, John. Well done.
Well, we appreciate all the good work at Houston and KSC to make these 3 satellites ready for deploy.
Roger, I'm sure everybody that had a hand in it enjoys the success that you've seen and enjoys hearing your reports that everything went well.
Shannon. Here we are on the middeck, and we've had a pretty good flight so far. As you know, most momentous events have the occasion of having a ceremony, and we had on launch day quite a momentous event. The 100th American to reach space as a result of the manned spaceflight program was on board, and we're going to let the world know who that person was right now. Shannon Lucid was the first runner-up, and she was the 99th, and she got to space 3 inches ahead of Steve Nagel, who was the 100th individual to reach space in the manned space program, at least the 100th American. And for that event, we have a cake, which Steve will be able to cut. And I'm sure he's been working on a speech all this time. He probably has some words he'd like to say.
Okay, we're ready.
Thank you very much. I'm not sure if that's true, although I sat 3 inches behind Shannon. My nose is about 3.5 inches longer than hers is. So it's still a debatable point in my mind anyway, but I thank you very much for this great honor, and especially the cake, which I'll gladly eat.
Roger, copy. Do you have METs on those entries into space?
Steve wants to know where we got the cake, and Rita did a great job of making us a 100th person American in space cake, and Steve's cutting it up right now. Too bad you won't be here to join us to eat it, but I'm sure that somewhere during this mission, you folks in Mission Control are going to be able to have your cake and eat it too.
In Discovery, we're zooming in on the cake now. It looks pretty good.
Well, I think we probably, or at least a couple of us, got to go up and watch the water dump some more, and the rest of us are going to eat this cake, and I don't know if anybody else has anything they'd like to say. The mission's been going very good. Everybody's been performing great, and we got a few more days to go and a few more things to do, but the vehicle has really been great, and you folks on the ground have been giving us a big help, and we appreciate that also.
Thanks a lot, Dan, for the views, and we really appreciate your work up there.
Okay. Well, some of us have to go back to work. breath and watching their watches to see if we were going to maneuver.
That's affirmative on that.
Certainly, we're 7 people up here doing the same thing. Listen, as you folks down there can tell, she worked just like advertised.
Roger, John, we watched it. It looked great. We got a good cabin scene right now. Discovery Houston, thank you very much for the show. We all really appreciate it, and particular thanks from the flight director. He's going to make good use of that. Discovery Houston.
Go ahead, Houston.
Roger, Discovery. Request all crew members temporarily drop what they're doing and float at attention. I have an important announcement to make, and request also that Steve Nagel make his way to the front of the bus, please.
Roger.
It has been determined that in about 5 seconds, Steve Nagel will start the 100th orbit of this flight. 2, 1, mark. The 100th American has just started the 100th orbit of this flight, which will be known officially as Orbit Nagel. And Steve, if you're available, you would do us a great honor by giving us a few words on this occasion.
Well, I'm flabbergasted, to say the least. I'm very pleased about this.
it's really something that everyone can go out and look at every night and look at my orbit in the sky.
All right, Roger.
And you don't know how appropriate the starting point for the Steve Nagel orbit was, because we were right over Africa seeing massive fires, which is what Steve is mostly into.
Roger, and be advised that was the 100th nose on the 100th node of this flight.
Could you repeat that so we could write it down? We didn't get anything.
Roger, that was the 100th nose on the 100th node of this flight.
That's extremely poetic. We'll remember that forever. Steve is in tears.
And as the confetti slowly falls to the floor and the ceremony has gradually come to a close, we wondered if Steve would do us the honor of performing the 100th flight note for us, please. I have a switch on R12.
Okay, go ahead.
Roger, we'd like the water tank Bravo inlet to open, please.
Okay, you got it, and I think that's about the 100th cycle on that switch for this flight.
And we've requested hard copies of our scopes to give you on return.
Okay, thanks a lot. I really appreciate that. Discovery Houston, with you through TDRS.
Roger, Houston. We're reading you loud and clear, and Sultan's ready on the middeck.
Okay, we have a good downlink. I'll hand you over at this time to the Washington commentator.
Dear Sultan, we are proud of your missions. It is a great achievement. I wish to send through you my best wishes to His Excellency President Reagan and the friendly American nations. Thank you very much. I hope see you soon. My best what shall I do? I'm very happy this time when I see you in the cover. I'm very happy when I give you your father. Please speak your father. Thank you very much.
That's going أشكرك يا سيدي على هذه الكلمة، وإن شاء الله أوصل تحياتك للجميع، وأشعرك أن الحمد لله أني أشعر أني فخور جدا أني أحمل هالمهمة نيابة عن أبناء بلدي، وإن شاء الله نكون على مستوى المسؤولية. الوالد مساك الله بالخير، طال عمرك.
سلمان تفضل. أهلا يا سلطان، والحمد لله على نجاح رحلتك. أرجو أن تبلغ تحياتي لزملائك ووالدتك وأختك، يسلموا عليك وطيبين وبخير، وإن شاء الله نشوفك بالسلامة وبالتوفيق. وأحسن خبر سمعته اليوم أنك ختمت القرآن في الفضاء، وهذا شيء أشكر الله عليه. دائم التوفيق إن شاء الله، ومع السلامة.
تفضل.
ابن سلطان، يا الابن سلطان، نحن وأنا أطمع في بقية الدقائق، لأن قيل لي أنه في بضعة دقائق، فأكرر مرة أخرى تمنياتي طيبة لك ولزملائك، وأشكر كذلك هيئات التلفزيون في المملكة العربية السعودية، وعلى رأس وزير الإعلام والمساعدين له، وكذلك هيئات التلفزيون في محطات الولايات المتحدة، ومن قام وساهم معنا في هذا العمل الجليل. وأتمنى لك وللعلماء السعوديين الذي هم في انتظارك كل التوفيق والنجاح، وشكرا وإلى اللقاء إن شاء الله.
إلى اللقاء يا طويل العمر. بس أحب طال عمرك أشعركم أني ما طلعت الحقيقة للمهمة هذه الحالي، أشعر أني طلعت بالفريق العلمي جميع اللي اشتغلوا وتعبوا معاي، وعلى رأس ما بشك دكتور عبد الله الدباغ، وكذلك أشعر أن زميلي وأخي في التدريب عبد المحسن البسام اللي سهر الليالي وتعب معي أنه موجود معي الآن. أتمنى طال عمرك لو كان الجميع معي على الرحلة ويشوفون اللي أشوفه، لكن إن شاء الله تحصل فرصة في المستقبل للمزيد من الشباب. أشكرك يا طويل العمر على المكالمة، وإن شاء الله يكون في هذا عملنا خير للإسلام والمسلمين والأمة العربية يا جماعة. في أمان الله يا طويل العمر، ونراكم إن شاء الله على خير، وإذا تأمرون نتعرف شيء من هنا.
Hervé Guilbault from the French news agency. A question for Patrick Baudry. Patrick, what are the specific lessons you can draw from your trip in space for the project of an European space shuttle Hermes?
I think there is not an immediate profit for the future of the project Hermes, but you know, space flight is a space flight, and the conditions of life in space are very different from the condition of life we know on the Earth, and even from the condition of life we have aboard an aircraft. So any experience aboard of a spacecraft is very important to the project Hermes, and I hope this flight will be very useful in this area.
For Commander Brandenstein and John Fabian, you both flew just about 2 years ago. Is there any difference, do you notice any difference in the Earth? Are there any differences in your observations this time from 2 years ago?
Well, it's the best thing about this flight is I got to command it, which means I'll get to land it when we get home. But obviously, with a crew of 7, conditions are a little more crowded, and we have to be a little more conscious of where we move and how we plan our program. We feel very proud of the 4 satellites that we deployed. I also went back and retrieved one, and I'm proud of the whole crew because they've done a tremendous job, and we're just looking forward to wrapping it up today and coming home tomorrow morning.
Altitude 52,000 feet, velocity Mach 1.05. 8 miles from touchdown, 267 nautical miles per hour is current speed, altitude 10,000 feet. Sink rate now 126 feet per second. corrected to the glide slope and is...
Discovery Houston, show you correcting the glide slope, slightly right of center line, surface winds 135 at 10, that's 10 knots from the left.
Anticipate touchdown in a minute. 4 miles from the end of the runway, 6,300 feet altitude. Sink rate 192 feet per second. Airspeed 290 knots. 3,000 feet altitude, 3,000 feet even. 2 miles from the end of the runway. 1,000 feet altitude. Sink rate is now 70 feet per second. Gear are down. 1 mile from the runway. 86 feet. Gear are down and locked. And we have touchdown at mission elapsed time 7 days, 1 hour, 38 minutes, and 50 seconds. And we expect a rollout margin to be 4,500 feet and 15% braking. Wheel stop at 7 days, 1 hour, 39 minutes, 30 seconds. This Mission Control Houston, egressing the Discovery. Our commander, Dan Brandenstein, pilot John Creighton, mission specialist John Fabian, Shannon Lucid, Steve Nagel, Payload Specialists Patrick Baudry, and Payload Specialist Sultan Al-Saud.